The energy environment in rural communities is changing. A large leap toward achieving energy welfare for rural communities. The project on establishing LPG pipelines for districts. As residents of rural communities with lower incomes are having to pay higher costs for energy than those living in cities, the energy imbalance between cities and rural communities is becoming greater. To reduce this gap, the government set its focus on improving the energy usage environment of rural communities and areas with energy vulnerabilities, and began a project for providing safe and affordable LPG by using LPG storage tanks and pipelines. The system provides safe and affordable LPG, just like natural gas, by installing LPG storage tanks and connecting each household using gas pipelines in rural communities where natural gas is not a viable option due to geographic characteristics and insufficient feasibility. This project for districts began in 2016 in regions with approximately 3,000 households, including Hwacheong-gun, Cheongseong-gun, and Jindo-gun. The project is due to be completed in 12 districts by 2020. The project on establishing LPG pipelines for districts costs approximately 20 billion Korean won per district, which is funded 50% by the government, 40% by the autonomy, and 10% by the individual recipients. The LPG storage facilities will be installed in the outer regions of the districts, and if necessary, 2 or 3 facilities will be installed to reduce construction costs. LPG storage tanks are equipped with safety devices such as gas leak alarms, safety fences, and gas shutoff devices to ensure the residents' safety, and corrosion-proof polyethylene pipes are buried underground. In addition, safe metal pipes will be used for gas pipelines in each household, and modern equipment such as multifunctional gas safety meters and gas leak alarms will enhance convenience and safety for residents. Let's take a look at some of the cases of LPG pipelines installations.
We're at Samgok village, Cheonan, which is famous for its grapes. The village is quiet and peaceful as the farming season is over. The 70 households in Samgok village rely on small LPG vessel tanks at individual homes for cooking and use kerosene, electricity, or wood pellets for heating. Hwaja Park is busy preparing a meal. In the middle of cooking, she rushes into the room to make a call.
아, 네. 여기 상공리 12번 집이에요. 예, 가스 떨어져서 그런데 어떻게 빨리 올 수 있어요?
Whenever she runs out of LPG for cooking, she has to order a new vessel for delivery.
화력도 좋죠. 그런데 가스가 떨어지면 다시 식혀야 되잖아요. 쓰는 거는 한 3개월 정도? 또 뭐 많이 쓰면은 뭐 덜 쓰기도 하고 뭐 더 쓰기도 하고.
In Samgok village, the LPG pipeline's installation is underway. The village was selected as a demonstration village for the project on establishing LPG pipelines for villages for a feasibility study. The project budget of 500 million Korean won was funded by various entities, including the Korean LPG Association.
이런 게 좋은 게 생겨서 따뜻하게 보낼 수 있고 기름도 절약하고 가스 떨어질 걱정도 없고 참 좋습니다.
The project on establishing LPG pipelines for villages uses LPG storage tanks and pipelines in regions where natural gas is not available, and supplies LPG using large transport trucks. The residents no longer need to order LPG vessels after running out, and their usage is metered. The residents can check how much they've used anytime and benefit from a stable supply, resulting in the same level of convenience as natural gas.
Through this project, we were able to lower consumers' LPG costs by 40 to 50% by simplifying the complex LPG distribution and encouraging price competition among suppliers. As the project is expanded to the district level, the project on establishing LPG pipelines for districts in the future will become the supply infrastructure for those areas and the ideal means of providing energy to resolve the gap in the energy usage environment of urban and rural regions, while significantly improving safety and economic efficiency. And we will continue our efforts to ensure that all Korean citizens have convenient access to energy. The project execution process is as follows. First, the applicable regions will be finalized. Presentations for officials of metropolitan regions and basic autonomies will be held. Presentations for residents of applicable regions will be held. Bidding for engineering contractors will take place. Conduct detailed engineering for each region. Bidding for contractors, suppliers for each region will take place. LPG storage tanks and pipelines constructions will take place. And auditors and on-site supervisors will be assigned as construction begins to ensure safe construction. Installation of storage tanks and pipelines under roads will take place this year, and inlet pipelines from main pipelines to each household, as well as indoor piping and gas boilers will be installed next year. Once the installation is completed, the gas supply to each household will commence in September or October of next year. You can easily apply by filling out the name of the head of the household at the top of the application form, along with the applicant's name and signature at the bottom. Now, let's take a look at some of the questions you may have. How will the project on establishing LPG pipelines for districts proceed? The Ministry of Trade, Industry, and Energy oversees the project planning and budget allocation. Autonomies, which are the supervising bodies of the project, are responsible for securing the autonomies' contributions, engineering reviews, project permits, and construction supervision. Korea LPG Pipelines Institute is commissioned by autonomies to carry out the project, including presentation for the residents, detailed engineering, construction management, supervision, and audits. The supplier leases the LPG pipelines from the autonomies to provide the gas and performs the safety management of supply facilities and consumer equipment. Aren't LPG storage tanks dangerous? LPG storage tanks are secured firmly on concrete foundations by welding or bolts to prevent falling or being damaged. It is designed to prevent falling and tilting, even in the case of earthquakes, to ensure the highest level of safety. The LPG storage tanks will be guarded by anti-car collision bars, safety fences, automatic leak detectors, and automatic fire extinguishers to ensure safety in case of a fire. The LPG storage tanks themselves are more than 5 times safer than conventional 20-kilogram vessels. If the site where an LPG storage tank will be installed cannot meet the safety distance requirements set by the law, it can also be buried underground. Can commercial buildings, government buildings, and schools participate in the project? Yes, commercial buildings, government buildings, and schools in the applicable regions can participate in the project. However, as the primary objective of the project is to provide LPG to households, the work provided for commercial buildings, government buildings, and schools will be limited to installing inlet pipelines from the main pipeline to their respective buildings. Installing pipelines and gas boilers within commercial buildings, government buildings, and schools needs to be carried out independently by contacting an installation company. Installing these pipelines during the construction period will be cheaper and save time. Can homes that are already receiving LPG from an LPG storage tank participate in the project? Community housing, such as apartments that are already receiving a group supply, can participate in the project. However, such houses can only participate when the contract with the previous LPG supplier has expired. Such houses will need to review the terms and conditions of their existing contract carefully. If the contract has not expired, you can participate in the project only after reaching a settlement with the LPG supplier. How much will each household have to contribute? The household contribution is set to 10% of the total construction fees, and the amount is subject to change depending on the final expenses and the number of applicants. Korea LPG Pipelines Institute will reflect the residents' feedback and create a list of gas-powered equipment that can be selected and installed at minimal costs. We expect that the savings in gas costs will make up for the household contributions in about 3 years. When do we have to pay household contributions and how? As the project period is 2 years, the household contributions will also be collected over 2 years. 40% will be collected in the first year, and 60% will be collected in the following year. The gas pipelines and boilers in each home will be installed after the second year contributions are paid. Contributions can be paid at a bank using an electronic billing slip issued by the Korea LPG Pipelines Institute. Where will gas pipelines be buried? Gas pipelines will be buried 1 to 1.2 meters underground, some under roads. If the pipeline passes through a private property, authorization from the landowner will be acquired. A yellow protective sheet will be installed where the gas pipelines pass as a warning, and indicators called line marks will be installed on asphalt pavements. Manhole covers with LPG gas indications will be installed at underground valves to ensure easy access to the gas pipelines. How will LPG prices be determined? LPG price is the most important factor in the scoring of the public bidding for LPG suppliers. The supplier that offers the lowest bid receives the highest score. The minimum contract period of an LPG supplier is 5 years, and a new supplier can be selected through bidding. What is the expected reduction in energy costs? The cost will be 30 to 50% lower than LPG delivered in individual vessels. LPG heating will be approximately 20% cheaper than kerosene boilers. Cost per thermal unit is competitive to that of natural gas. As the cost of kerosene and nighttime electricity is expected to increase, the amount of energy cost saving can increase even more. How will the safety of LPG supply facilities be managed? The LPG supply facilities will be owned by the autonomy. The LPG supplier will lease the facility to deliver gas to each home and be responsible for safety management. As a supplier of community LPG gas, the LPG supplier is legally responsible for maintenance and safety management, and will also be required to have gas accident liability insurance. LPG storage tanks will be inspected at least once a day, and pipelines at least once a week. All inspection details will be recorded. The entire facility will be inspected under the supervision of Korea Gas Safety Corporation once a year. All data related to the installation will be provided to the community LPG provider. Upon completion, the gas pipeline map will be entered into the autonomy's computer system to prevent damage to any pipelines during other construction works. What do we have to do to get additional pipelines connected after the project is finished? The installation will be performed for households that sign the gas supply consent form. However, for any additional connections carried out after the project is completed, the recipient must pay for the pipeline facility from the road to the household, road excavation approvals and fees, restoration, pipelines within the household, meters, and boilers. These fees will vary by each household, but base fee is expected to be about 4 million Korean won. Will there be financial aid for those who cannot afford to pay the contributions? Financial aid will be provided by the LPG Hope Charge Fund, created by the LPG industry. Korea LPG Pipelines Institute will determine the applicable candidates and provide the financial aid directly. 100% exception will be provided to basic livelihood support beneficiaries, and 50% deduction for low-income households. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you.